Hey everybody, what's going on? The Montreal Canadiens have played more than a handful of games since I last spoke to you last Friday, and there's a lot to dive into in this video. But before you do that, look in the bottom right hand corner of this video, and if you haven't already, hit subscribe to this channel. The Montreal Canadiens are in a bit of an interesting position right now after coming back from their West Coast road trip. They played in 5 games on that road trip and came away with a 3-2 record, so not all bad in theory, but there's some ups and downs that are currently going on with the Montreal Canadiens. And another bullet in their chamber last night was that Alex Newhook went down with an undisclosed injury. It looked like a lower body with one of his legs, and that doesn't look to be promising, especially when you already factor that the Canadiens lost Kirby Dach for the rest of the regular season due to a leg injury, and it didn't look promising for Newhook, who will be evaluated later this afternoon. So we'll kind of get a better idea sooner rather than later about what the injury we're dealing with Newhook is. But at the end of the day, it didn't exactly look promising, so who knows? We won't speculate. Still, with that being said, the theme of this video prior to that injury is going to be about the growth we're seeing with Alex Newhook's game. You're kind of seeing a more patient player playing alongside Nick Suzuki, and that's something that I think is very valuable for a young player that's still trying to find his way in the NHL. You're kind of sort of seeing the production now that Newhook can bring to the table, especially in the goal scoring department, which appears was a little bit untapped from his time with Colorado. Prior to his injury, Newhook had 7 goals, which was tied with the Montreal Canadiens lead with Cole Caulfield. And I think there's kind of a player in there that can potentially chip in 22 to 27 goals on a yearly basis, and that's something that's valuable to the future of this Montreal Canadiens team. We'll see where it goes with this injury, but it would be a real shame if Newhook couldn't continue developing positively, especially alongside Nick Suzuki, who it appears as though the Canadiens like together as a pair. So we'll see what happens in that department, but it wasn't exactly promising seeing him go down in last night's game against Florida. With that being said, in that game against Florida, I think there was a lot of things that you expected to see. The Canadiens were coming back from a long road trip. It's their first game home, and reportedly, according to NHL players at least, the first game back after a road trip doesn't exactly spell positive news for the franchise. So that's exactly kind of what we saw with the Habs last night against the Panthers. They stuck in the game for the first 2 periods, but they just weren't there to start the third period, and I think you can kind of see fatigue setting in. Cayden Primeau got the start in goal for the Canadiens last night against the Panthers. I thought he was really good through 2 periods, but in that third period, you kind of saw what had been ailing Primeau at the NHL level to this point, and that was goals that just can't go in. He played really well through 2 periods, kept it to 1-0, and then you saw a couple of those goals that just can't go in at the NHL level in that third period, and that's kind of where we're at right now with Primeau, is that he has that NHL capability. You can see it through stretches, but it's that overall consistency and playing at that full 60 minutes that's kind of ailed him in the NHL so far, and that's something that we saw again last night. So it'll be interesting to see when his next start is and how he bounces back after that appearance. In the end, it was kind of thrown into the wolves a bit because the Canadiens were coming back from that long road trip and starting the young kid against a Florida Panthers team that's up and coming in the Eastern Conference. I know they played for the Stanley Cup last year, but you're kind of seeing them stick to those roots and still be a strong contender in 2023-24. So I think there's a lot of things to like about that hockey team. So it was kind of interesting that they decided to go with Primeau there instead of Jake Allen. I would have preferred Allen in that spot just because he's a veteran and someone that you can kind of rely on a bit heavier in those situations, but the Habs decided to go with Primeau, and he did look good through those first 2 periods, but he struggled in that third frame against the Panthers. One thing that I'm noticing as well with Juraj Slafkovsky is that you're seeing his confidence grow on a game-to-game basis, but the one thing that we're not seeing yet is him shooting the puck more, and that's something that has to come. We saw it last night against the Panthers, where Slafkovsky had a 2-on-1 with Cole Caulfield, and anyone watching that game was yelling shoot at the TV, but he decided to pass to Caulfield and had the pass broken up, and I think that's something that's going to come with time. We've noticed that with time in his development, you're starting to see him be more confident in the corners, more confident with his playmaking, but we need to see him shoot the puck more. There's a reason that he was a highly touted prospect, and his shot is one of those reasons, and we need him to grow with that confidence to be able to shoot the puck more in those situations. I think the coaching staff will be able to reiterate that to him and get him to shoot the puck more because he does have a great shot, and that's something that we have to see more at the NHL level. That's it for me today from Cook's Corner. As always, let me know in the comment section down below what you think about the recent stretch of games for the Montreal Canadiens and where you think they're going to be at this time next week. I'm Zach Cook. We'll see you later.